I dropped nearly $10,000 on a family trip to Japan for my dad's 60th birthday. It was supposed to be a celebration. Then I got a text that knocked the air out of me. We gave your spot to Douglas's girlfriend. She's more fun. That was it. No warning, no explanation. All I sent back was, got it. That night, I pulled the plug. Cancelled every piece of the trip, flights, hotel reservations, even the prepaid train passes. Non-refundable? Didn't matter. I wanted it all gone. When they flew back, things were different. The front door wouldn't open because I'd changed the locks. The rent on the house they'd been living in for free? Tripled. Their cards got declined trying to buy coffee. And that, believe it or not, was just the start. I remember staring at my phone, watching those three little typing dots blink like they were teasing me, like there was more cruelty lined up and ready to hit. The message had come from my mom. It was breezy. Casual. Like she hadn't just tossed 3 months of my planning and $10,000 straight in the garbage. We gave your spot to Douglas's girlfriend. She's more fun. No apology. No reason. Just that smug little digital slap. All I sent back was, got it. Short. Cold. Final. But then I did something no one saw coming. I took it all back. The whole trip, gone. I didn't flinch. I'd booked it, so I destroyed it. That same night, I changed the locks on the house. It was legally mine anyway. They'd been squatting there for 5 years, rent-free, acting like I was too dumb to notice them laughing behind my back. Not anymore. This time I was the one laughing. But let's rewind a bit. Let me explain how I reached the point where I could torch a dream vacation, crank up the rent on my own parents, and cut my golden child brother out of my life like the parasite he'd always been. It all started with one naive idea, trying to be the good son. Dad was turning 60, a big one. And I thought, what better way to mark it than a trip to Japan? He'd always wanted to see the cherry blossoms in Kyoto before his knees gave out. Mom? She worshipped sushi like it was a sacred ritual. Douglas, my younger brother, always talked about how he wanted to taste real ramen, not the stuff he scarfed down in college. So I did what nobody thought I should. I footed the whole bill. Just under 10 grand. Flights, hotels, bullet train passes, even restaurant bookings. I juggled it all between work deadlines, spent my weekends obsessing over which hotels were closest to temples and shopping streets. I even upgraded their flights to premium economy. Meanwhile, I booked myself a budget seat and a tiny room in Osaka. I didn't care about my comfort. I thought this effort, this sacrifice, that's what love looked like. But Douglas has a special gift, reminding me exactly where I stand in this family. I'm not the favorite. Not the fun one. Just the one who writes the checks. So when I read that message, we gave your spot to Douglas's girlfriend. She's more fun. I didn't feel hurt. I felt something sharper. I felt clarity. And let me tell you, when someone who's been used for years finally sees things clearly, it's a dangerous thing. They always counted on me keeping quiet. They counted wrong. It all started with guilt, that's how they get you. Not with affection. Not even obligation. Just guilt. My folks never straight up asked me to pay for things. No, they worked in hints. Douglas is doing his best, but times are tough for young people. You're so lucky to have a steady job, not everyone's as fortunate. We're proud of you. Just wish Douglas had your motivation. At first, I helped out because it felt right. He was my kid brother. I wanted to see him graduate. So I paid for his tuition, covered his textbooks, even bought him a new laptop when his old one accidentally died right before finals. But before I knew it, helping became expected. 3 months after he graduated, he still hadn't applied to a single job. Said he was figuring things out. I'd come home after 12-hour shifts to find him sprawled on my couch, eating takeout I paid for in a house I owned. Mom would defend him. He just needs time. Dad? Didn't even glance up from his iPad. Let the boy breathe, he'd grumble, like I was the one being unreasonable. Then Douglas got a girlfriend. Kyle, who insisted I call her Kyle. She moved in after 2 months. No rent. No heads up. Just appeared. She took over my kitchen like it was hers. Changed my Netflix profile. Burned through my Wi-Fi. One night, I caught her trying on my dress shoes for a TikTok skit. I'm doing a character, she said, grinning. Don't be weird. Douglas laughed. Dude, relax. She's hilarious. That word, funny, it started to haunt me. Still, I kept my mouth shut. Kept paying. Because that's what family does, right? Because what would Dad say if we argued? Because I earned more, and they all knew it. When Douglas got fired from the job I helped him land, he showed up late 3 times that first week. I covered his car payments so his credit wouldn't tank. When Kyle wrecked her car, I co-signed for a used Mazda. In my name. Yeah, I know. Idiot move. When they told us they wanted in on Dad's birthday trip, I didn't complain. I adjusted everything. Added rooms, shifted hotel bookings, even rearranged my time off work. And what did I get in return? We gave your spot to Douglas's girlfriend. She's more fun. That wasn't just a slap in the face, it was confirmation. I'd always suspected it, but now I knew for sure. To them, I wasn't loved. I wasn't even liked. I was just convenient. A walking ATM. And the worst part? I let it happen. But they weren't done. Not by a long shot. The morning they landed in Tokyo, my phone buzzed with a message from Douglas. Yo, can you wire us some spending money? Kyle forgot her card and Dad says the exchange rates suck. I didn't respond. An hour later, another one. Come on, man. Don't be salty. This trip's about Dad, not you. I nearly threw my phone through the wall. They'd hijacked my gift, my moment. And still, they wanted more. But I didn't reply. I let them have their fun, post their perfect little videos of a happy family vacation while I sat at home, alone, in a house that finally felt like mine, boiling with a quiet kind of fury I didn't even know how to name. Everything was quiet, until day 5 of their so-called dream vacation. That's when my phone rang. The hotel was on the line. Mr. Douglas, the woman said, clearly uncomfortable, the credit card associated with your group booking has been declined. Also, there's someone staying in the suite who wasn't listed on the reservation. And just like that, the pieces snapped into place. So that's how they did it. They'd taken my name, my money, and swapped me out like a broken part. Slid Kyle into my place without a word, figuring I'd be too oblivious, or too spineless, to ever notice. That wasn't just disrespect. That was entitlement wrapped in betrayal. And I'd had enough. I logged into my banking app. Disputed every charge I saw. Cancelled the card on the spot. Then I called the hotel back and told them, plain and simple, shut it down. Remove everyone from the reservation. And if they kick up a fuss, call security. The manager hesitated. Sir, they're still in the room. I know, I said. That's their problem now. And just like that, the trip was officially over. When they got home, they were met with a different kind of welcome. I was in the kitchen, stirring my coffee, when I heard car doors slam in the driveway, followed by raised voices, tense and frantic. I caught the sharp edge of my mom's whine, Douglas yelling something about the keys, and Kyle barking orders like she was still in charge. I didn't move. I kept stirring. Then came the pounding. Boom. 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 Open the damn door. Douglas shouted. We know you're in there. I walked over, took a long sip of coffee, and glanced through the peephole. There they were, flushed, exhausted, standing among scattered luggage like shipwreck survivors. Kyle, for some reason, had no shoes on. She looked ready to claw someone. I undid the lock and opened the door just a crack. Douglas scowled. "Where are our keys?" I took another sip. "Replaced them." "What?" he barked. "You're joking." "Do I look like I'm joking?" Mom stepped forward, trying to bulldoze her way in with her voice alone. "We just flew halfway across the world. We're tired, we're hungry." "And you're trespassing," I said, cutting her off. "This is private property." Kyle scoffed. "You're seriously locking us out? Your own family?" I looked her dead in the eye. "You're not my family." That shut her up. Douglas stared at me, face twisted in disbelief. "This is seriously messed up, man. We had nowhere to go. No hotel. No cash. No internet. Do you know how humiliating that was?" I shrugged. "Yeah, I imagine being stranded on someone else's tab isn't fun. Welcome to my world." His face turned red. "You embarrassed us. You canceled everything. We couldn't even get an Uber." "That's what happens when you use someone else's card without asking," I said. "It's called fraud." Mom gasped like I'd said a slur. "Fraud? Don't be ridiculous." I held up my phone, tapped the screen, and turned it toward them. There it was, an email from the hotel manager. "Unauthorized guest. Cardholder disputed charges." I looked straight at Douglas. "Did you add Kyle to the reservation in my name? Yes or no?" His mouth moved, but nothing came out. He glanced at Kyle. She gave a lazy shrug like it was no big deal. I stepped aside, letting them look into what was left of the house. It wasn't much. The big couch they used to hog? Gone. My dining set? Donated. Every single thing they lounged on, left their mess on, claimed as theirs without asking, gone. The walls were bare. The echo in the house was the only thing that welcomed them back. Mom's jaw dropped. "You cleared out the whole house?" "Correction," I said. "My house." Douglas's voice cracked. "We lived here. 4 years. For free," I added. "No rent. No bills. Not even gratitude." Mom's face twisted like she'd swallowed vinegar. "We're your family. You're going to throw us out over a single mistake?" I actually laughed. "One mistake? You took my generosity, ran up my credit, erased me from my father's birthday because I wasn't entertaining enough. That's not a mistake. That's a choice." "You're being petty," Kyle sneered. "You're mad because we had fun without you." I stepped out onto the porch and pulled the door shut behind me. "You think this is about one vacation?" I asked. My voice was calm, but flat. Cold. "This is about years of being treated like a backup plan. Like a wallet with legs." "No one meant to hurt you," Mom said. I shook my head. "You just didn't care if you did." Douglas looked lost. "So that's it? We're homeless now?" "No. You've got 2 weeks. Rent's 3 times what it was. Utilities are on you. Guest suite's locked." Kyle folded her arms. "You can't do that." "I can," I said, pulling a folded lease agreement from my jacket. "And I already did. It's legal." "And the cherry on top? I got an alert this morning. Your cards got declined at the coffee shop. Guess your lifestyle just got downgraded." The silence that followed wasn't shocked. It was stunned. Hollow. I turned to go back inside, but Douglas grabbed my sleeve. "Wait," he said, his voice shaking. "Please. I don't have anywhere else to go." Kyle thought this would be a bonding trip. She wanted to get closer to the family. She didn't mean to. He trailed off. Kyle looked like she might say something, then didn't. I looked at him. For once, I really saw him, not the golden boy version, but the man behind it. He was crying. And I felt nothing. No hate. No sadness. Just a kind of deep, wintry calm. "You were my brother," I said. "And you traded me for someone who could make TikToks in my shoes." I stepped back inside and locked the door. They stood out there, unsure what to do, blinking in the sunlight like they were seeing the world for the first time. Only now, that world didn't include me. And for 3 full days, not a single word. No calls. No guilt texts. No family group chat ambush. Just silence. I had breakfast by myself. Just coffee and a croissant from the bakery down the block. Simple. Quiet. And for the first time in what felt like forever, that silence wasn't awkward. It was clean. Like finally laying down a weight I didn't even know I'd been carrying. Not the kind of silence you hear, but the kind that settles inside you. The kind that doesn't demand anything from you. But by day 4, the quiet cracked. My phone lit up. "Can we talk?" Then another, "I'm sorry about what happened. We all made mistakes. Please don't do this to your father." It was my mom. I stared at the message. Not because I didn't have anything to say, but because I didn't need to say anything. I didn't owe them that anymore. For the first time in my life, I didn't feel the pressure to explain myself. To defend my decisions to people who never really listened in the first place. Then things started to unravel, for them. Kyle tried to buy coffee downtown. Her card bounced, twice. I got the notification and smiled without meaning to. She posted something vague on her Instagram story, "Some people are just plain vindictive." 5 minutes later, it was gone. Deleted. Then came the rent. A week after the new lease kicked in, 3 times what they used to pay, I got an email. "Hi, we're struggling with the new rent. Can we talk about other options?" No name. Just the family account. I didn't reply. Meanwhile, Douglas, my brother who'd spent years sleeping until noon and streaming games while I worked, suddenly discovered employment. Word got back to me through a guy I know from the gym. Douglas was folding towels at the front desk. Part-time. And no, I didn't feel sorry for him. I'd moved into a small loft downtown. Just enough space for me. Concrete floors, tall windows, no clutter. No mystery leftovers in the fridge. No one's shoes in the hallway but mine. Every object in that place was something I chose. Every minute of the day was mine to spend how I wanted. I'd wake up at 7, hit the gym, log in for work, take a walk in the evening just because I felt like it. For once, no texts asking me to chip in for groceries. No guilt-laced calls from mom saying, "It's your brother, how can you say no?" No emotional toll booths at every turn. Just air. Just peace. In the second week, Douglas texted me. "I know I messed up. I really do. Kyle left. Said she didn't sign up for this. I get it now. You were right." I stared at the message a long time. This was the same brother who once rolled his eyes at me for planning ahead, told me I was too uptight, too boring, too serious. Now the fun girlfriend was gone. The Instagram stories dried up. And there he was, alone, broke, and finally face to face with the reality he'd always made me shoulder. I didn't respond. Then the next hit came. A letter, legal-sized envelope, lawyer's seal stamped on the front. Apparently, my parents had hired someone. They were claiming partial ownership of the house. The one I bought. The one they'd lived in rent-free for half a decade. My attorney broke it down. They're alleging financial contributions over the years. We've asked for documentation. So far, nothing. I laughed when I read that. Not because it was funny, but because it was so ridiculous, it didn't deserve anything more than a laugh. My parents had always believed that if I owned something, it somehow belonged to them too. I remembered Mom saying once, like it was gospel. "This is a family home, sweetheart. What's yours is ours." Well, not anymore. Now, ours meant exactly what it always had, me giving, them taking. Then another message from Mom. "We didn't raise you to be like this. What would your father think?" And this time I answered. "You raised me to serve you." That ends now. What surprised me wasn't how angry they were, it was how fast they crumbled without me. Douglas was working 10-hour shifts, trying to stay afloat. Mom started reconnecting with people she used to judge, other parents with selfish kids who stopped helping. And Dad? Same as always. Silent. He never said much during the fights, during the insults, during the years I kept everything running. His loyalty was to not picking sides. And in the end, that was a choice too. Now they were living in the world they made, one where I didn't exist to clean up the mess. And me? I was on a new couch, drinking coffee no one sneered at. Looking around an apartment where everything had a purpose, and none of it was attached to guilt. For the first time, I wasn't being used. I wasn't a backup plan, or a safety net. I wasn't a silent servant in my own story. And I wasn't angry. I was free. I finally understood, I'd never been the problem. I was just the tool they leaned on until it broke. And when I stopped showing up, they collapsed under their own weight. It's strange how quiet can feel louder than a shouting match. 3 months have passed since I cut them off. Since the trip that never happened. No more free ride. No more family favors. No more pretending that love is the same thing as leverage. I expected guilt. Maybe grief. Maybe some emptiness. But I felt something better. Something sharper. Peace. I don't wake up dreading messages. I don't jump when my phone buzzes. I don't wait for someone to need me. I feel like I've stepped out of fog and finally learned how to breathe again. Last week, while unpacking an old box, I found something. Labeled, family stuff. Inside were photos, birthday cards, and old travel documents, airline tickets, hotel confirmations, all booked in my name. Every trip. Every memory. Paid for by me. They used to say I was cold. But I was the only one keeping the heat on. I flipped through the photos. There I was, smiling, driving, handing out tickets, picking up checks. And them? Laughing. Relaxed. Like passengers in a car they never had to fuel. I used to think that made me strong. That it meant I was dependable. Now I see it made me invisible. What they loved wasn't me. It was what I did for them. And when I stopped doing it, the love dried up like spilled soda in the sun. Douglas hasn't reached out since Kyle left. A mutual friend told me he moved into a basement unit and started delivering food. And I didn't feel smug. I didn't feel anything. Because that life? It's his to carry now. Not mine. As for Kyle, she disappeared online. Wiped her socials, unfollowed us all. Her fun ended when the free ride did. Mom sent one last text. "We didn't raise you to be like this. We miss who you used to be." And I sent one last reply. "You miss the version of me who never said no." He's gone. Dad didn't say a word. Of course he didn't. He never did. That was always his thing, just sitting there, watching the whole house fall apart around him while sipping his coffee like he was a guest in his own life. Never raised his voice. Never lifted a hand. Just stayed in his lane. Silent. And that silence? It wasn't harmless. It gave everything permission to keep going. It made him look passive, but it was a quiet kind of betrayal. The kind that doesn't explode, it erodes. At some point, I stopped waiting for them to give me closure. So I gave it to myself. One night, I sat alone. No music, no background noise, no scrolling. Just me, a glass of red wine, and the soft glow of apartment windows lighting up across the skyline. For the first time in years, that quiet didn't feel like loneliness. It felt like peace I'd earned the hard way. That night, I scribbled something down on a sticky note and pressed it onto the bathroom mirror. I owe no one more than I owe myself. Since then, it's the first thing I read every morning. Like a prayer. Like a reminder I can't afford to forget. And now? The same people who once leeched off me without hesitation call me distant. Say I've changed. Damn right I have. I used to be the bridge they walked across whenever they needed something. Now I'm the ocean they can't cross. Funny how that works. A few days ago, I got a message from Christina, Douglas's ex. We were never close back when they were dating. But she always struck me as decent. Quiet. Observant. She wrote. You were the only one who saw it for what it was. The way they treated you, it wasn't right. I'm glad you left. You saved yourself. That one hit me harder than I expected. Because honestly, I'd started wondering if maybe I was the problem. If I'd overreacted. Made it bigger than it was. But Christina's words reminded me, I wasn't crazy. I was just the first one to wake up. I used to think leaving people behind made me selfish. Now I know better. It's survival. They taught me love meant sacrifice. But somehow, that sacrifice was always supposed to be mine. My time. My money. My silence. My peace. They called it family. I call it manipulation. They called me cruel when I finally set boundaries. I call that clarity. They called me heartless when I stopped playing the fixer. I call that healing. They said I was selfish, but only after I stopped being theirs. And now, the best part? I don't hate them. I don't wish them suffering. I'm not sitting here plotting revenge or replaying old arguments. I just don't owe them anything anymore. And that feeling? That's real freedom. Like breathing with both lungs for the first time in years. Next week, I'm heading to Iceland. Solo trip. No itinerary, no drama, no one to please. I've wanted to see the Northern Lights since I was a kid. But I always put it off, for birthdays, for emergencies, for someone else's last-minute crisis. There was always something that came before me. Not anymore. This time I'm going because I want to. For no one but myself. And when I'm out there, under that icy sky, watching green and purple light dance across the stars, I'll say it out loud, so there's no doubt left. I am not your safety net. I am not your plan B. I am not your bank, your backup, or your fool. I am me. And for the first damn time in my life? That's more than enough.